I pastored a church for 12 years, a small church, after working in larger churches for many years, and really had no idea what I was getting into. I thought I did. I thought I knew the leadership structure and the things that were necessary to grow a church, but I discovered really quickly that it's very, very difficult. I spent many afternoons laying on the floor of my office just crying for a friend, and I didn't know who to reach out to. And our heart's desire at 95 Network is that no one would ever have to experience that, where you spend any day of your life where you feel like you're all alone and you need someone to talk to. The small church in America is in trouble. And the reason that's important is because 95% of all the churches in America, they have less than 500 people in attendance. In fact, a very large percentage, upwards of almost 90%, have less than 200 in attendance. If you think about the fact that we understand that 10,000 churches a year are closing, that means this week 400 to 600 churches will close somewhere in America. We have a dear friend who pastors up in New York, and he was just talking on the phone with us last week and let us know that in his area 5 churches closed or were closing or announced they were going to close in the next week or two. And this is epidemic. And so that's why we are here at 95 Network. We want to help support and strengthen the small churches, but there's even a higher calling, a deeper message that I'm beginning to understand as we continue to do this. And that is this: the reason we've got to help our churches is not just so you can be healthy today in your small church. It's not just so they can sustain where they are today. It's for the next generation. I think that we are so inward focused in the church in America, we have forgotten what it's like to leave a legacy. And success today is not based on you being successful today and paying your bills today. Success is that you raise up successors and you leave the next generation. I had an experience recently that really impacted me. I had a chance to go to have supper with some dear friends, and we went to a restaurant that was in an old church. And though it was a cool setting, I just kept walking around thinking the impact that's happening in America, where churches that used to exist are now restaurants. And there's not being churches raised up to take their place. We've got to help the small church in America, and so that's why we do what we do at 95 Network. I've been in my role here for about a year as the director of 95 Network, and actually it's blown my mind. I tell people I kind of came kicking and screaming into doing this, but I'm so thankful that I did. In the last year, we've been able to expand and grow. We've actually done almost 20 of our one-day conferences, or will have done that through the end of this year. We've sat down in front of 430 pastors and leaders and shared our one-day conference. There's about 1,000 people who are on our email list now. We've got over 300 members in our membership, and we've been in almost 30 states within the last year. And it blows my mind. We've had the opportunity to produce Vision Box, which some of you have seen, and literally it just started being promoted through the David C. Cook Company. And then another thing that's happened is I have the opportunity now, I'm working on writing my first book, and none of this would have happened if we hadn't have said yes to doing what God wants us to do at 95 Network. I just want to take a moment and share with you why I think you should support 95 Network. I believe the church is all we have. It is the thing that God has given us to change the world. There is no alternative. When God set up how He was going to run things, He instituted the church, and the church is the hope of the world. And just to be very honest with you, a lot of our churches are sick. A lot of our churches are hurting. A lot of our churches are dying. I've already mentioned that, thousands of churches are going to close this year in America. And if this trend continues, our nation and all around the world are going to become just godless. And we can't let that happen. God has used us as the church to advance His kingdom. We are light in the midst of darkness. And so 95 Network is trying to stand with those churches. And as I've mentioned earlier, we give it away. I mean, when it comes in, we give it away. And we want to continue to do that, and we want to continue to remain financially strong to do that, and we can't do that without your help. So would you stand with us in helping to do that? Will you stand with us as we try to communicate the truth to the churches, and then give them the resources, the tools, the support, the encouragement, the exhortation that they need to be successful at impacting their communities for Jesus?